Now, the multi-party charter for South Africa is holding its second day of the National Convention. 7 political parties are discussing a partnership with the aim to unseat the ANC in the 2024 general elections. Parties are expected to agree on the terms and conditions for their bloc's coalition. But of course, our reporter Pule Letshwiti-Jones is following these discussions and joins us now for an update on what happened yesterday, but also what's to be expected today. Pule, very warm good morning to you, colleague. Today it is day 2. I understand, as those plenary sessions are expected to go ahead yesterday. It seems a lot happened, though, yesterday in terms of discussions and parties seemingly confident that they're making progress in solidifying that partnership ahead of next year's elections.
Yes, definitely. So yesterday was about drawing the terms and conditions of the coalition agreement as well. The parties were told engaged robustly and also came up with a name called the Multi-Party Charter for South Africa. This will be a name, of course, that is used to identify and attract other like-minded opposition parties as well, in an attempt to try and unseat the ANC at the national general elections in 2024. We got then a second briefing at around 6 p.m. again yesterday, of course, which was chaired by the independent chairperson of these coalitions, of course, being Professor William Gumede as well. Some of the issues, or rather items that are discussed, includes parties agreed to broader numbers of the other opposition parties in the agreement. They will extend the invitation to all that subscribe to the vision of this coalition bloc, but what they've agreed in entirely this coalition bloc is to keep out the EFF as well. Parties also resolved that all political parties interested will be objectively judged. There's still quite a lot that's being discussed in this morning's plenary session as to what will happen if one party were to pull out from this coalition bloc, if they were to successfully unseat the ANC. This kind of criteria, of course, will need legal expertise and will need much more objective principles as to what the parties should adhere to. So it means that if they will be joining this coalition, things will be hard. It will be hard to just leave that coalition bloc, as there will be a pledge and there will be a document which the parties may have to adhere to as well. We understand as well from the talks that have been going on that there's been calls from other opposition parties to say that the Patriotic Alliance should be part of the multi-party charter for South Africa. You'd remember previously the PA, led by Gates McKenzie, was part of the multi-party coalition in the various municipalities in Ekurhuleni, in Johannesburg, and in the city of Tshwane. But there was a bit of a disagreement that happened on their journey to solidifying this multi-party bloc. We then saw the PA, particularly in Johannesburg, pulling out as well, and in Ekurhuleni, pulling out from this multi-party coalition, joining the ANC, the EFF, and COPE as well. So this is the bone of contention. They'll have to discuss in an agreement as to how parties may have to join this national bloc, but of course how it will be hard for them to just easily pull out from this coalition bloc. Let's just take a listen to what one political analyst had to say around this criteria.
The parties have had this tendency that they would be part of a coalition and then would aid to unseat the very same coalition should there be disagreements which they cannot tolerate, or should there be a better deal that is offered by a party that's in opposition but seeks to secure its a newer coalition to unseat the existing one. Now, your guess is as good as mine there, Gareth. I don't want to go ahead of the process in terms of what is going to be designed by these parties as a way to regulate that. The extent to which it can be regulated would be very interesting. Remember, we live in a democracy where the Constitution is the supreme law of the Republic, and the Constitution guarantees freedom of association. And is there a way to get parties to commit a lot more in ways that would allow them to be charged by others for breaking contract when they break out of coalitions? That's going to be quite interesting. They can find something that is legalistic as far as how to respond to a partner in a coalition that breaks away.
And I suppose, Pule, I mean, that's a very significant, point to make with regards to what are, the terms and conditions should a party want to break out. If we were to use some of our municipalities just as a litmus test, you would see that there are growing concerns on how that would look nationally. So I suppose that's speaking to why this discussion is of importance. But looking at today, colleague, as well, before I let you go, what's to be expected on the second and last day?
Well, like I said, it's also quite important to draw the comparison to what happened previously. We remember in the city of Johannesburg, once again, the Democratic Alliance and the PA not seeing eye to eye as well. So these are the kind of challenges this multi-party charter for South Africa will have to discuss. We're yet to be told whether this agreement that's to be signed here will be legally binding or not. We're yet to be told who will be leading, or rather which party will be leading the coalition bloc if they were to be successful to unseat the ANC at the national general elections in 2024. But as far as today, we're expecting a briefing at around 1:30 from the independent chairperson again, Professor Kumete. From there onwards, in the evening, around 6-7 p.m., the parties will then come out and they will speak to the media as to what has been finalized, about the principles of this agreement, and what are the terms and conditions to foster this coalition going forward. So what will also be important is to now find out as to which other parties will be joining this coalition bloc. We have been told that there are two parties now which are outside of these negotiations which are interested in joining this coalition bloc. So you get a sense that they're trying to really solidify their coalition pact and ensure that they have the numbers which will then try to sit out the ANC at the national election. So it'll be interesting to find out what were some of those talks that were really quite important in terms of strengthening this national coalition bloc as well.
All right, we'll leave it there for now, but I'll be sure to catch up with you again, Pule Letshwiti-Jones, as soon as there are any other developments. The multi-party charter for South Africa, we understand, concluding on its two-day discussions with multiple parties joining in, or at least those we know of so far, with regards to this coalition bloc ahead of next year's general elections. And we'll keep you updated right here on eNCA. Also, a briefing expected, as Pule mentioned, around 1 o'clock. So we'll give you those details right here on Channel 403.